Welcome to this solo edition of Hand Raised Guys, presented by Comer Heating and Air and Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. I'm Neal McCready here on this Thursday afternoon. Ole Miss getting ready to get started in Columbia, South Carolina against South Carolina. That game, at least on my stream, has yet to start. We'll talk about that as the evening goes along. I'll take your calls on the Campbell Clinic Hotline. First, let me tell you that we're brought to you each and every week by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, that area, call our good friends at Comer Heating and Air, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding areas, call Southern, 662-429-4429. It's getting warm outside in the 80s now. That means the 90s right around the corner, the triple digits coming in a couple of months. You want to be prepared. So now's the time to get that AC checked out. They'll take care of you at Comer and Southern. Please tell them that you heard about it on MPW Digital. We'd appreciate that. They're a part of our trip to Talladega next week for McCready and Siskey as well. So please be kind to our friends at Comer and Southern. I'm coming to you from the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for my good friend Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you are looking for. He will send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest completely up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that is hop into a Clark Ford today. Again, 662-257-1900. Don't forget, throughout the rest of the month of April, you get employee pricing at Clark Ford. So 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Campbell Clinic Hotline. From fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi, providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit campbellclinicoxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111. And this will serve as the Friday Blue Sky Live. Don't forget, if you're heading on the road for Easter, make sure you stop at a Blue Sky anywhere in the state of Mississippi. Fill up your tank outside. Get yourself something inside. Always clean, always friendly. The people at Blue Sky take great care of you. Don't forget, it's that time of the year. Starting to get warm outside, doing some outside things. Check out their ribs, both wet and dry. They'll take care of you at Blue Sky all over the state of Mississippi. One final bill to pay, if you don't mind. Do you say data? Hang on, caller. I'll get right to you. Do you say data or data? Well, at my house, we say data. And for the longest time, I thought paying a fortune on my monthly data plan was just normal. That was until I found out about Mint Mobile and their premium wireless plans that start at just $15 a month. So say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you. All plans come with high-speed data, or data, your choice, and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. Bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless. Get 3 months of premium wireless from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. No matter how you say it, don't overpay for it. Shop data plans at mintmobile.com/MPW. That's mintmobile.com/MPW. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, 5 gigabyte plan required. It's equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plans. Options are available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Ole Miss goes down in order in the top of the first. South Carolina about to come to bat. So we'll keep an eye on that game as things progress there in Columbia. Hey, caller, who's this? Hey, caller, can you hear me?
Neal, can you hear me now?
Yep, I hear you. I was beginning to panic.
Hey, it's Tupelo.
Hey, Tupelo, how are you, man?
Doing good. Driving up I-55 north, going to the home of the toasted ravioli and your St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, how about that? Who are the Cardinals playing?
Well, they're on the road. They're playing the Mets. We're going up to visit my in-laws for the Easter weekend. So I got my wife and the kid in the car here.
I got you.
Yep. We leave in the afternoon if we're making that trip, but the kid will go to sleep about 8 o'clock, and it makes it a lot easier.
Oh yeah, I get that. We've been there. How old's the kid?
She's a year old this past December, so she's like 13 months old.
Oh yeah,
and we're in the fun stage.
Yeah, that's fun. She'll fall asleep and you'll be good to go. You won't have to sweat it.
Oh yeah. You getting ready for the playoffs? Or I should ask, does the no talk on the morning show apply to this show now, or are we free to?
You know, I'll have an excuse here because you brought it up. In the mornings, I'm going to do everything in my power not to talk about the NBA because it just upsets it. The people that it upsets, it really upsets. Like it's something I don't understand it, but it's a real thing, and that show's not the place for it. So this is a Thursday night kind of caller driven show, and if people want to talk about college baseball or college basketball or the NBA or how to grill a steak, we'll talk about those things.
No, I understand. I was reading your predictions from the 10 weekend thoughts, and I think I agree with you. I think the finals will be the Lakers and Celtics, and I think your thought process was that it's basically a coin flip, but you're giving it to the home court team, or was I reading that incorrectly? Or
no, I think Boston would beat the Celtics handedly. I mean, I'm sorry, Boston would beat the Lakers handedly. My Lakers thing is, if I'm totally honest, is probably a little paranoia. It's probably a little reverse jinx. And it's probably me just not completely trusting Adam Silver and company on a year where he is obsessed with ratings here lately in some interviews. Ratings have not been great. They've bounced back a little bit late in the season. They've had some good games. And he is crediting a lot of that to the Luka Doncic trade. And that makes me think, boy, they're going to do whatever it takes, if within reason, to get the Lakers to the finals.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they'll go as far as to rigging games, but
yeah, not rigging.
I could see
influencing.
Yeah, I could see scenarios where late in the game, one team's down one or so, and there's just something questionable. I mean, I watched the Grizzlies-Warriors game and thought that's what happened in the Grizzlies' favor at one point, because there were two calls kind of back-to-back. They called a foul on someone. I couldn't remember which Warriors player it was, but it was an egregious call, and it changed kind of the course of that 45-second stretch, and the Warriors overcame it and ended up winning the game. But I mean, I don't know. It kind of got weird at the end. I don't really know. And then the league kind of put out a statement or something about there was that God to now step and didn't lost the ball, and they gave it to the Warriors, but it wasn't a foul. And then the league said that they got the call wrong. I don't know. It just got weird. But I mean, my fear is that the Lakers win 2 or 3 games this postseason that end on some questionable calls or something, and then it just feeds this conspiracy theory of Luka getting traded.
Yeah,
but
I don't think. See, that's the thing, and this is where I don't think Silver's the greatest commissioner ever. I don't think the league has to have the Lakers in the finals, and I think actually the Lakers making the finals this year would be a little fishy. I will say this about the Lakers: for them to get there, it's a hell of a road in front of them. I mean, they're going to have to beat Minnesota, who's very good, and Edwards is a player that's capable of carrying them for a series or two. They are then going to either have to beat a very experienced Warriors team that they've played a million times, or a very good, underrated, young, athletic Houston team. And Houston's got some good young bodies. Like Amen Thompson can give Luka Doncic fits. And then if they won that, they're probably either having to beat the Thunder or maybe Denver or maybe even the Clippers, probably the Thunder. That's a long road for a team that one of their key players is 40 years old. I mean, that's a haul.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And for the first, and then I don't know if this will make sense, but for the first time in LeBron's career, he's not the best player on his team, but I think he's the most important player on his team still. I think he's in stretches of the game is more important to the Lakers than Luka is, but he's not better than Luka now. And I think it's because of his defensive presence. I mean, if I were a Lakers fan and I like watching LeBron and I picked them to go to the finals, I think my concern with them now is, I mean, he hurt his groin again last week, and I know they're saying he's fine, but that is one of those injuries that lingers, and if he's not at his best for 3 games, even this series, they could lose this series. And that would be my concern if I were a Lakers fan. And since I picked them to go to the finals, I guess that is my concern.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think the thing with LA that will be, again, they'll have to earn it, right? Even if they're getting calls, they'll have to earn it. And I think you do bring up a good point, right? Luka's still got the calf thing. LeBron's older. They're not a deep team at all. And I mean, look, if you had a deal where they get stretched to 6-7 games against Minnesota, 6-7 games against Houston, at some point that's going to catch up to them, I think, because any kind of a nagging thing where they have to LeBron's limited or unavailable or something, and they're toast immediately. And I mean, they're totally dependent on Luka and Austin Reeves and LeBron James playing long minutes, night after night after night, and in extended series where coaches really lock in on you and throw different looks at you, and you're going to play teams that have young athletic guards who can who can take their shots at you, and big forwards and length. It might catch up with them. Again, I'm probably being paranoid.
Well, and so I want to mention the Grizzlies in a second, but they I think rely on Austin Reeves being the third option. I think that's when they're strongest. So if there's a stretch of a full game where Luka or LeBron's out and Austin Reeves is the second option, that's where they lose their mismatch.
Yeah. Well, they lose then, because now you're dependent on Jared Vanderbilt, and you're dependent on Dorian Finney-Smith, and you're dependent on guys that probably aren't going to be able to carry you past teams that are deeper and at that point better. Just not going to work.
Yeah. So I watched the Grizzlies game Tuesday night. I stayed up and watched it. And as the game was unfolding, it was kind of like a nutshell of the Grizzlies season to me. It was like they get down big, and they've kind of gone through this losing stretch recently. They got down big, started coming back, and when things started looking hopeful, Ja gets hurt and goes out for 7-ish minutes, 7 to 9 minutes. I can't remember exactly. Then he comes back, and then it's almost right there, and then you lose again, and it just kind of was gut-wrenching. But I was listening to the show from this morning, and I think I can't stand the type of person that is like, I'd rather my team not make the championship than lose by a blowout in the championship. I think that's ludicrous. I'd rather get to the championship and lose by a gazillion than not make the championship at all. But when you consider your draft pick, it's almost best if we just don't win tomorrow night.
Absolutely.
Because
it's not even close, right? I mean, look,
there's no benefit from winning, because Jeffrey said, you're not beating the Thunder 4 times. No, you're only hoping that series is you win one game, and it's going to have to come on a night where Ja plays lights out and the SGA and role players of the Thunder just don't play at their street
Yeah,
for one night.
you win,
That's the only hope.
you win game 3 in Memphis. That's
That's the only hope.
yeah.
So to me, I mean, they're going to try to win because you could talk about whatever,
Yeah,
but when you get on the court, you know how these guys are. But
absolutely.
But it's hard for me to see a scenario where they win. I just don't think that they're playing good basketball. I don't think the Warriors are that good, and I don't think that. I don't know. I just don't think that. I think we're going to get outcoached. I think we're going to get outplayed. And if you told me it was like a 130 to 112 loss, I believe it. But this season's just been weird. It's hard to predict this team. And we could look up Friday night and they win by 25. I don't know. The team, it's just a weird team. And I don't know. Well, I don't know how we've gotten to this point with this team, because the expectation for this team this year, knowing that they were going to start Zach Edey, was make the playoffs and maybe win a series, and that's not going to happen. And so, do you look at it as failure? I kind of do. I think it's different than the Ole Miss football season.
It's failure, but not if it ends up serving as growth, right? I mean, I think you can have failure and development at the same time. That means you didn't ultimately fail. It's only failure if at the end of the season they look at this and go, okay, well, there's nothing we can learn from this. There's nothing we can take from this. There's nothing we can move forward from this. The one thing, and I thought Jeffrey was right. I mean, you do have a couple of young players, and I do think playoff experience matters. Like I'm much more confident in this Thunder team than I was last year's Thunder team, because last year's team had played 2 play-in games, right? They beat New Orleans, lost to Minnesota. That was the extent, with the exception of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who'd played some as a rookie against in the playoffs with the Clippers, and then he'd played in the bubble with the Thunder. He'd had no other playoff experience, and nobody else on that team really had any playoff experience. This year, you added 2 veterans, and everybody got experience. You're going to be much better suited for the playoffs. So I do think there's that to take if you're Memphis. But at the end of the day, if I'm Memphis, I don't want to lose that pick. I'm trying to build my roster out. It's an asset that maybe you could move in a trade that would get you what you're looking for. Otherwise who's it go to Atlanta? You just lose it. And I don't know. I'd rather have that, I think, all in all.
Yeah. I think the pick goes to Washington if we win the game, but I don't
Wizards?
know.
Okay, I couldn't remember who it went to. Someone in the East.
It's an East team. Yeah. It's a weird scenario. I mean, we're going to have a new coach next year. I hope they at least kick the tires on Malone. Like I sent you the other day. I really hope that they at least try that. I don't know what their plan is, but it becomes frustrating. I could say it like this: maybe the Grizzlies season as a whole wasn't a failure, but I think Ja's portion of the season was a failure. I mean, he didn't play. And when he did play, there was some times this year, Neal, when I watched him and he was inefficient. Inefficient minutes, and
here's the thing with him. Like, and Jeffrey and I had this conversation a little bit today. I don't think he'd mind me sharing it. I'm a pretty big Jaren Jackson Jr. fan, and I love Desmond Bane.
Me too.
But you've got Ja Morant, and I don't think you can afford to move him. You're not going to get the value for him that you have. If you're Memphis, so much of what you're hoping for in terms of development is Ole Miss goes down in order again in the second, by the way. It's 1-0 South Carolina heading to the bottom of the second there in Columbia, just getting started. With that game, if you're Memphis, so much of your development is based on Ja Morant maturing. And
eventually you run out of time. Yeah, I mean, he's going into his 8th year next year.
There's no doubt. I mean, this might be. I mean, I heard Ryan Russillo say this the other day, who I think's a brilliant NBA guy. And he just was like, yeah, I've kind of given up on him. And I'm like, I get it. I'm probably not quite there yet, because when he's on, he's so good. But You know, he gets hurt. He's going to miss some games. The way he plays, his stature, he's going to get banged up. And, you know, I mean, the best ability is availability. And sometimes he's unavailable. And there were times this season where I thought he looked a little checked out.
Yeah. And it wasn't the ski mask on the sideline thing that got me. I mean, there were moments at games that I saw during breaks where you don't see it on TV. He just didn't look like a team player. And I know that's like old man yelling at clouds. But there is
true. He spends too much time worrying about crap. The league says, "Hey, stop doing the finger gun thing," right? I mean,
and then he throws grenades in the stands. Like and when he gets asked about an explanation, he says, "That's just it's different." Well, okay, it's not. Because you would have been doing it before if it had no relation.
His point is that if Austin Reeves did that or if Aaron Wiggins did that, the league's not making a big deal out of it. But he's got to understand that, yeah, but context matters, man. And you have this context that's associated with you. And don't do it. They literally told him not to do it, and then he did it the next game. It just
and not only that,
but what it tells me more than the maturity thing, what it tells me is that you're just not, I mean, more than the whole action thing is that you're not growing up. You're not listening to people. You're not, you're listening to the wrong people. Your focus is on the wrong thing.
Well, and the other thing is Austin Reeves didn't get on his Instagram and was flashing a pistol.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, that's the context of.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of like watching, you know, I don't know. But anyway, you know my stance on the team if they decide to build around only two of the guys. But, I mean, I get he sells jerseys and he sells merchandise.
Yep.
But selling jerseys and merchandise doesn't win you a playoff game. And so there has to come a point where I don't remember a superstar like him. I mean, can you think of one in the past that's been like this where he is a superstar, but at the same time, the team almost has to go into next year expecting him to miss 35 games?
No.
So
not off the top of my head.
He's kind of one of a kind player. And so there's no data, right? There's no data on, okay, how could we manage this type of player? Because your fear is you trade him and he goes to
Sure.
He goes to the Clippers or wherever and averages 26,
lights the world
7, and 5
to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
That's the same thing New Orleans has with Zion Williamson, where you get the flashes of him and you're like, oh my God, we just can't trade this guy. And then you look up and he has another season where he misses half the year, and you're like, we what are we doing? It's difficult. And when you're in a small market, you
can't miss
those kinds of players. Yeah, a small market, it's all about draft and what has to be frustrating for Memphis is that guys like Triple J and Bane are really high character guys, and you're just but that franchise, at least right now, it's completely tied to Morant, and it's really kind of up to him.
Yeah. Last thing, we could talk about it all we want now, and I like to talk about it, but I think we'll get the answer in 2 years when his contract is coming to a close, because by then that'll tell us everything we need to know. Are they going to extend him for 4 years, or are they going to just let him walk, or what will be done? But
Jeffrey and I disagree about this, but if it were me and I were them, I would shop him this summer.
I would too, and you have to. And see, another point of that is I think in some ways Memphis Grizzlies basketball can be a little insecure about themselves, and when you shop him, you have to go into it knowing we're not about to get 4 first-round picks and 3 role players, because he's not that player right now. So let's say they trade him and get a first this year or next year or whatever, get 1 first, 2 seconds, and 2 role players. You almost have to just consider that a win and move on.
You'd get more than that.
But on social, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what other teams value him at. Especially where would he go? I
don't know. I'd have to really think about it.
My first thought may be like Orlando.
No, they like Suggs.
That's what I'm saying though. Is like, at what point? I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma that the Grizzlies have. I'm glad I'm not in charge, but I hate that I have to watch it every night. But anyway.
Ole Miss retires South Carolina in order pretty easily there in the second. They head to the third. In Columbia, it's 1-0 Gamecocks.
Hey, I originally picked us to lose this series just because I thought eventually we would lose a series we're not supposed to. I think we'll win it, but it may get close. But anyway, I'll let you go, Neal. Have a good one.
Thank you, Tupelo. Appreciate you.
All right. Go Cardinals. Bye-bye.
Tupelo always slips that Go Cardinals thing in on me. But I like Tupelo, so he almost has me where I don't hate the Cardinals anymore. I mean, Jeffrey's one of my best friends. He's a Cardinals fan. And the Cubs, I haven't hardly watched it all. I almost feel guilty about it. Ole Miss and South Carolina heading to the third. Rebels trailing 1-0. They gave up a run in the bottom of the first, and then Hunter Elliott settled down and was retired South Carolina really quickly there in the second. The one takeaway that I have already, I don't even have the broadcast on, but Ray Tanner is in the booth in South Carolina. That for Paul Maneri, that is like it's like being the Alabama coach with Bear Bryant in the booth. I mean, that's a lot. Hey, caller, who's this?
Hey, it's Steve from Greenville.
Hey, Steve, what's up, man?
Hey, I'm glad you're coming around to my thinking on basketball being influenced.
Yeah, influenced is the right word. I'm that's as far as I'll go. Number one, I think anything more than that makes you sound like a loon, and I don't think influence is anything intentional. I think it's a little more subtle.
Well, I told you,
I don't think there's an edict that comes down from the league.
Well, like I told you before, you need to listen to the podcast about the NBA ref that got busted for point shaving.
Yep.
I mean, that was his word. He said it's not rigged; it's influenced. It's heavily influenced.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm a little suspicious this year. This on what used to be called HBO, it's now Max. It's a documentary called Celtic City. It's Bill Simmons did it, and it has been incredibly well done. It's very, very good. I watch it. It comes out every Monday, and it's a point. I go to the gym I go to the gym several times, but on Tuesday, my routine lately has been I go to the gym, I lift, and then I get on the treadmill and I walk for an hour while I watch the latest episode of Celtic City. And there's a little part of me, man, that's like, oh, I wonder if the NBA looks at this and goes, this is really good and it's nostalgic, and wouldn't it be a perfect time to have the Lakers and the Celtics coming off a title, and the Lakers here at the end of the LeBron era, and Luka there with it feels like too good to be true. And then, I'm in the minority. Like, I think it would be good for the league to have an Oklahoma City Cleveland finals, and not because I'm a Thunder fan. That's not it. But because it's two franchises that built through the draft, did it the right way, and look here they are. And these are two teams that could be good for a long time. But I also know that the league is ratings obsessed. They know that a Cleveland OKC ratings aren't going to be great. They're going to get ridiculed by the national media. Clay Travis will go off on them, all that stuff. And I think they're far more sensitive to that stuff than they let on. So I'm cynical.
Well, the former commissioner of the NBA said if he had his way, it would be Lakers, New York every year in the NBA Finals.
Yep. Yep.
That's what would make the most money. Real quick, you need to check out the book by Dan, and I'm going to spell his name because I can't say it, Moldea. He wrote it in 1989. It's called Influence. It's about the NFL. He lists 30-some-odd games he said were rigged. He interviewed the bookie that paid the players.
NFL games?
Yeah.
Oh,
In
wow.
fact, if you go through, you can look it up online. There is certain refs. There's 3 refs. If they ref a game, the over hits 73% of the time. There's 3 other refs. If they work the game, the under hits equivalent amount. And you can find their name online.
Austin Foley just went deep in South Carolina. It's 1-1 now. I guess what's his top of the third. He hit a hanging curveball a long, long way. Curveball. The pitcher for South Carolina missed his location both up and out over the plate. He was trying to throw it at a completely different spot. The ball didn't break, and it went a long way. So 1-1, top of the third in Columbia.
All right. Last thing, I need some baseball knowledge here. Explain a rule for me.
Okay.
If you can.
I'll try.
All right. In 1953, there was a professional pitcher that threw 27 strikeouts in a game.
Okay.
He had a 4 strikeout inning. How does that happen?
So he would have had a third strike that was called a strike, got away from the catcher, and he reached first safely.
Okay. That's what I was wanting. And how did 2 men end up on base? I mean, I can see one because, the 4th strikeout, but that blew my mind.
Well, I mean, it could have been an error, could have been a walk. Just because he struck out. You're saying
walks.
No walks, no hits?
No walks, no hits.
Did he hit a batter?
Oh, there you go. I bet that's what happened. Well, yeah, I bet that's what happened.
Yeah, because that wouldn't have been a walk or a hit, but he would have gotten the base.
All right. He did it in AAA, not Major League, but whatever.
Well, he probably was in the Major League shortly thereafter, huh?
12 games. Then he got drafted.
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
But he was on the last place Brewers team, so it didn't really matter. All right. That's what I want to say this week. Just ask you that.
Steve, I appreciate you, man.
You're welcome. Bye.
So Ole Miss has a run and now a runner on with 2 outs. I haven't done a great job of keeping up with this, but 2 outs, top of the third. I think this is a series Ole Miss is going to win pretty easily. I know they gave up a run early, and there probably was some panic. Hey, caller, who do we have?
Hey, Neal, it's Austin.
Hey, Austin, what's up, man?
Man, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm glad you are. Hey, listen, I got a sports question I want to ask, but before I do that, I wanted to ask you something not sports related real quick.
Okay.
It's been going on for about a month, and forgive me, I'm not like the biggest social media guy in the world. I used to be, I'm not anymore. So I know at one time it was kind of big on social media, now it's not. And forgive me, I'm just out of the loop, and if you don't want to answer it, you can just gladly tell me you don't want to answer it. But what was going on about the whole you not wanting to be called Scoops things anymore? I never called you that anyway. I'm just curious what was going on with that.
Yeah, I never really liked it in the first place, and I just kind of begrudgingly played along, and then it became something that people started using derisively. And once that started, I was like, I'm not doing this because I'm not letting it stick. And so I just asked Tyler not to do it anymore, and just kind of let it go, and it's gone, and I'm glad it's gone. I didn't like it in the first place, and it was people were starting to use it in derisive ways. And look, I probably give people enough ammunition. I wasn't going to give them more.
I understand. And like I said, I never called you that talking about.
Most people thought it was fun, and it was funny, and that's why I kind of played along with it for a while. But then it started becoming something else, and that's when I was like, I didn't like this in the first place.
I see now. I appreciate you clearing that up for me. I was just curious. So getting into the question that I had for you originally, I was curious because I listened to the show with you, Chase, and Jeffrey last Thursday when y'all were talking about sports conspiracies.
Yep.
And I wanted to talk about this with you because I think it's interesting, and I wanted to ask your opinion. I know where you originally stood. I'm curious if it's changed. You're saying that you don't believe that the league, the NBA, could have orchestrated or fixed the Dallas trade and with Luka to the Lakers, correct? You're saying. Go ahead, sir.
I'm not concrete on it. Like, I'm not just can't be influenced the other way. Here's my thing about that is, all right, let's play it out a little. Let's say the league orchestrated a deal to move one of the most recognizable players in the league, one of the 5 best scorers in the league, who's still in his mid-20s, to Los Angeles. If the league did that, I have a difficult time believing that nobody would have leaked that. Yeah, that's big, right? Now, crazier things. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot. If you're following the news right now, I mean, stories much bigger than Luka Doncic to Los Angeles are getting some play, getting some sunshine right now, and it's makes you wonder. So I mean, it's possible. I think what's more likely is that there's something sinister with Dallas's ownership. I think it's more likely that this is a attempt in some way to like almost self-sabotage the franchise to make it unpopular and unprofitable, where they can move it to some place that they prefer to move it to. And the rumor is Las Vegas, which very much wants an NBA team and would probably do quite well having an NBA team. I think that's, if we're going to go conspiracies, I think that conspiracy is more likely than the league making essentially a phone call. And I realize it wouldn't happen like this, but essentially a phone call that says, hey, the Lakers are in trouble. Our ratings are down. We need to move Luka out there so that we can make them more of a contender and get them in the finals. We don't need Oklahoma City or Houston in the finals or Minnesota in the finals. We need the Lakers in the finals. That would be the kind of thing that would destroy the league. I mean, your credibility would be completely ruined. You'd never recover from that. So no, the more I talk about it and think about it, no, I don't think the league orchestrated it. Now, did the league turn a blind eye to how ridiculous the trade was? Probably.
And on a side note, just how little of a backbone does Adam Silver actually have?
It's non-existent. He's a jellyfish. He's one of the biggest problems with the league. It's one of the reasons sometimes when the NBA sucks thing happens with people, I understand like people don't like the league and they think that they overreacted to stuff. They went crazy in 2020 and the China stuff. Those are all legitimate criticisms. They really are. And that some of the players aren't exactly lovable, completely fair. But when people are like, oh, the league's not very good anymore, they don't play defense. I'm like, that's just crap. I mean, but if the league had better ownership, I think they'd be thriving right now because there's so many good players and so many great European players where they could really grow the brand worldwide in a way that, frankly, a lot of sports can't, right? Baseball's struggling with this too. I mean, you have maybe the greatest player in the history of the world playing in the prime of his career in Los Angeles right now. You should probably be growing a little bit more than it's growing, but Silver's weak. And frankly, Manfred's weak. It's one of the reasons baseball's staring at a work stoppage that's going to kill whatever little bit of momentum that they have. And one of the reasons that the NFL has done well. I mean, the NFL has done well despite they have some scandals and, they overreacted to some stuff with, the COVID stuff and, the end racism and all that stuff that turned a lot of people off. But the NFL at the end of the day, Goodell does what's in the best interest of the league every damn time. And the NFL, it doesn't matter who makes the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. It can be the New York Giants. It can be the Jacksonville Jaguars. It can be the New Orleans Saints. It could be the Denver Broncos. It doesn't matter. They thrive. And the NBA should be that way if they had better leadership.
I agree with that. I mean, I'll be brief. Just hit on what you just hit on. I mean, for crying out loud, just 2 or 3 years ago, the Cincinnati Bengals were in the Super Bowl and it set a ratings record.
Yeah, it's fine. The NFL's king, man. And they're king for reasons. Look, it helps that they have football, and we love football. We're football crazy in this country, but it's not just that. I'm just telling you it's not. And I have this argument with people all the time. I mean, David Stern was a big-time commissioner, and the NBA thrived. And it wasn't just Michael Jordan. It wasn't. It just wasn't. I mean, to think that it's just naive. And Jordan was great, and Jordan was the GOAT guy. But it wasn't just that.
And, there's one.
The league's like really good right now. I mean, I coming up in this playoff, we're going to get in the first round, this Minnesota versus the Lakers series is really, really good. I mean, Golden State, Houston has a chance to be an elite series. This Clippers-Nuggets series is going to be fantastic basketball. And then anything you get in the semifinals, Thunder versus Denver, Thunder versus Clippers, you got a chance at Lakers-Warriors. You're going to have a really good series. And we're going to get probably a Cleveland, Boston Eastern Conference Finals that should be absolute theater. So the notion that there's no good teams and it's just horse manure. It really is. But the league's done an awful job, of marketing anyone outside of LeBron and Steph. And that's on them.
Yeah.
And some of that's ESPN and the talking heads, and they're like, that's what drives this. Yeah, but you can force other appreciation for some of the really good young players that don't play on those teams, and they just have not done a good job of it at all.
That's why I really appreciated what Charles Barkley said. I think it was about a month ago, where he kind of called ESPN out for being overly overpraising the Lakers and the Warriors when teams like the Thunder and the Cavaliers and to a lesser extent the Nuggets and the Grizzlies.
Boston Boston won a title and they came back and won 60 games this year. They're very, very good. They have a superstar in Jason Tatum. They're one of the biggest brands in all of sports. I mean, they don't have to be so focused on Lakers Warriors, but by God, they are. They're locked in on it. And hell, we might get a Lakers Warriors second round series. And if we do, I mean, my God, I don't know what they'll do. I think they'll just decide that the rest of the games don't matter and just play those. Build those will be and I get that, you get eyeballs, and that's what you're in it for, is eyeballs. But in terms of the league and silver, the fact that you get to that place, I personally blame him a lot.
And I'll wrap up with this. I wanted to ask you this on the way out, and I'll keep listening to the show. It's kind of twofold. Number one, you mentioned a minute ago in regards to the Mavericks in Dallas. To me, I'm having a hard time trying to come to terms with the fact that this is anything but staged by the league. That's just where I stand on it personally, because of what we talked about. The ratings are in the toilet. The product on the court is good, sure, but if nobody watches it, it's kind of like baseball. The product on the field is good, but no one's watching it, nationally anyway.
Yeah.
Even the Lakers games. I mean, even I saw. I think it was, couldn't remember, something on Forbes where they're even having trouble marketing Lakers games. And so this question I've got for you is twofold. You made mention that you could totally see ownership in Dallas trying to make it unprofitable so that way they can relocate. When you're more of an NBA guy than me, when did the Supersonics move from Seattle to Oklahoma City?
It was 2011, 2010, 2011, somewhere in there.
Okay. And Vancouver lost their team to Memphis in the early 2000s too, right?
It's a little before that, wasn't it?
I think so.
Late 90s. Memphis has been there for 30 years, I think.
Got you. The reason why I'm asking is, all due respect to the Thunder and the Grizzlies, they've never won a championship in either franchise, respectively.
No, I mean, Thunder did get to the finals with Durant and
did.
Westbrook and all those guys, and then that next year they had the best record, and Westbrook got hurt. Memphis has been close. I mean, Memphis has been in a Western Conference Finals.
I'm not arguing that at all.
Yeah, sure.
My point I'm making is they were both leaving Seattle and Vancouver respectively to go to Oklahoma City and Memphis, and it's kind of a lateral move when you talk about the size of those cities, but leaving a major metropolitan like Dallas and especially a town that's, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Dallas in the finals just 2 years ago?
Last year,
and they won a title about 15 years ago. I mean, they
won a title in 2011. Yeah, 15 years. Yep. God almighty. I'm getting old, man.
It does. But my point I'm making is this. To me, if you're going to relocate, like if you're Adam Silver, if you have any backbone at all, like I don't see how you let a major metropolitan area like Dallas, Texas have not have a flag there. Like I understand there's already two in the state of Texas in San Antonio and Houston. But like
Mavericks have been really popular there. I mean, the Mavericks are outside of the Cowboys. They're the biggest deal there. They have a huge fan following. I mean, they loved Dirk for all those years, and they loved Luka. I mean, they packed that place. That was a difficult ticket. I mean, I don't know. No, I agree that the NBA would not want to leave Dallas, the Metroplex, as big as that is. What is that, the fourth, fifth largest, top 10 market in the country? They wouldn't want to leave that vacant.
Something like that. Like to me, it would make more sense. Like I know Sacramento's in the biggest state in the union, but to me, it would make more sense to move like the Kings to Vegas or something like that. If you were gonna move, if you were hell bent on moving a team to Vegas,
Kings just built the state-of-the-art arena and signed a 30-year lease on it.
Mm-hmm. And I was saying that because out of all the teams in California, it's still, no matter what they do, it seems like they can't stop tripping over their own feet. Now they might do something in the future and prove me wrong, but that's just how they've been my entire life. Now that community does really, really back them though. My question is, I just don't envision how. I understand the point you're trying to make, but if you're a Mavericks fan, I mean, it's going to take years and years and years and possibly decades to undo what you just did to the city.
No doubt. Of course. I mean, especially if the Lakers win a title in the next 2-3 years with Luka, it'll be unforgivable. It's already unforgivable. It's just going to get worse.
Oh, it's totally going to get worse because he's just going to get better. I mean, I will say in the latter part of my question was this. You kind of answered it right there, but the latter part of my question was this. I'm not the biggest NBA guy in the world. They did kind of lose me during the pandemic. In fairness, I was never that big to begin with, but I'll still watch it occasionally. And I agree with you. It's not quality of play. The quality of play is good from what I see time to time. It's just, for whatever reason, man, like it feels like 10 years ago, like they were just killing it with momentum and mainstream momentum. And I don't know what it is, but it's been 5 years since the whole pandemic and the politically correct nonsense and all that. They're still just having a really hard time gaining their rating viewership back. And my question I'll ask this is, if you were named commissioner tomorrow, what are the 3 things you would do to try to enhance viewership? And with that, I'll see myself off. Appreciate you again. Appreciate you again, man.
I would almost force. I've got the big TV contracts, and I would figure out ways. I would understand that I'm not football. I wouldn't try to compete with the NFL, but I would build marketing campaigns around the really good players. I would expand their brands. That's the biggest thing I would do. Let me think about what the other 2 things are. Hey, caller, who's this?
It's Andre, Neal.
What's up, Andre?
Oh, doing good. I wanted to piggyback on the Mavs thing. I said something to Jeffrey on Twitter, and I think I may be the only crazy person that thinks that they're going to at least look at moving the Mavs out of Dallas. He told me I'm not that crazy, but they do have 2 more years left on their lease, he did say. But do you think the league would allow that, to move them to Vegas?
I mean, I'm kind of with Alan here. Alan in the thread says 90% of the lower bowl in Dallas is corp, meaning corporate tickets. They're fine. He says, unfortunately. He says Mavs are not leaving Dallas, 0 chance. I wouldn't go that strong, but I would go more that way than they would leave. How bad does it get, right? I mean, that's the part. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I mean, if they're awful and the fans stop supporting them and they stop getting a corporate draw and it just gets to a place where it's caustic, I mean, I guess possibly, but that's a huge, huge city. And people are kind of conditioned to go there. And I mean, it was bad. There's no way around how bad it was, but unless you believe the conspiracy that this was intentionally done so that to almost force the fans to hate them, it's hard to imagine that they're going to be leaving. Ole Miss and South Carolina, by the way, now through 4. I shouldn't say this, but I'm not covering the game. If I were covering the game and someone said this out loud, I'd get mad at them. This game's flying along. They head to the 5th, 1-1. Ole Miss and South Carolina. Hunter Elliott's really settled in after giving up a run in the first. Anyway, so I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're all good, Neal. One of the things that I am buying into is that they shipped Luka out of town for a little bit of nothing, in my opinion. And then if they get rid of Kyrie and get rid of a couple other pieces, and they turn themselves into the Pittsburgh Pirates, and whether they try to tank or to get a lottery pick, it gives them, I feel like, a built-in excuse to say, hey, we're not winning, we're not making any money, Vegas is a new start, the arena is older.
That's such a long play. I mean, and they're nowhere close to that right now. I mean, they're in no man's land as of this moment, right? I mean, they're either going to win tomorrow night in Memphis and be the 8, or they're going to lose tomorrow night in Memphis and be at the back end of the lottery, meaning you're picking 13th, 14th. They've already traded some of their future picks. In fact, I think they've traded like their next 3 first-round. They're not anywhere near a world where tanking is possible. And the thing about tanking is twofold. It's threefold. You have to tank while keeping your culture good. Their culture sucks right now. So strike 1. Strike 2, to tank, you can't put good players on the floor during a tank. And they've got Anthony Davis and potentially Kyrie, and they've got PJ Washington. I mean, they'd have to move a bunch of people to tank. And then third, you have to have a front office that is elite this is in any sport. that is elite at player development and player identification, recruiting, talent eval. You've got to be phenomenal at that. See, Ole Miss. Never mind. I was reading the right fielder, so can of corn for the center fielder. One down for Ole Miss in the top of the fifth. You've got to be able to do that, and I don't know that Dallas checks any of those boxes. I mean, if you look at Cleveland got really good because they identified Jared Allen. They identified Evan Mobley. They were bad enough to draft at the top of that draft, and they drafted Evan Mobley, who a lot of teams wanted. They've just done a really good. Then they were able to go out and get Donovan Mitchell, and then give him a long-term deal and get him at the prime of his career. You look at the Thunder; they made the deal with Paul George that landed them. It's already landed them Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams, Santa Clara Jalen Williams. Two All-Stars came over in that deal, and there's still more assets to come. They drafted Josh Giddey, turned him into Alex Caruso. They drafted Chet Holmgren. I mean, they have a myriad of second-round picks that are big parts of their rotation. Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, who I forget, Aaron Wiggins. They drafted Cason Wallace in the first round. He's a big-time defender. I mean, they've built through the draft, and you have to be really good at the draft, and I don't know that Dallas fits that mold.
Yeah, that was something that I was, kind of thinking about. On the other hand, I don't think they're in the position to completely tank, and, you just laid out the reasons. I feel like it's going to be hard for them to attract, even if they wanted to go out and sign a big-name free agent this offseason, because I think all trust in the leadership is gone because you have the proof of concept with Luka. I mean,
yeah, but you could still sign a big-time player if they have the cap space and all that, because you're still in Dallas. It's a big market. You've got no state income tax in Texas. It's still attractive to players. But, yeah. You've got to – yeah, I mean, surely somebody would look at that if he had other options and go, not exactly the – I mean, the West is loaded and it's about to get better. The Spurs are about to get really good. If you want to win, I'm not sure that you're picking Dallas right now.
Yeah, that was something else that, creeps into the mind. If you want to alleviate the state income tax, well, San Antonio is pretty much they're going to be pressing, and they're going to be pretty good in the next coming years. And Houston, they've turned that thing around. So, I mean, if you had interest from Houston or San Antonio, I think Dallas is the third option in Texas right now.
Yeah, could be. We'll just have to see. I'm curious to see the fallout from that will come this coming off season. Do some guys try to get out of there? What do they do with AD? What's Kyrie's situation? I mean, there's so many question marks with that team right now. Does Klay Thompson ask for a trade? Those are the kind of things I'm kind of watching to see what happens with them. That story's not told yet.
Yeah,
further, there are some rumors that a couple of really strong beat writers on that beat are working on pieces that will come out once they're eliminated, whether it's tomorrow night or in a week and a half, whatever the case may be. When those stories come out, that might paint some of the narrative as well.
Gotcha. And the other thing I was going to ask you about, it's into the JFK stuff.
Okay.
One of the things, because of what I do for a living, I'm pretty much tied to it. Whenever they talk about, the JFK, they think the government's involved. I point the finger at a guy named Jack Ruby. I think a lot of people don't look into what Jack Ruby did for a living. He was a business agent and had an office in Dallas at the Teamsters. I think it's no coincidence that he was involved, and then a couple years later, when Hoffa tried to muscle back in to the union, he couldn't, and then all of a sudden Hoffa disappears in the early 70s, and it's kind of nobody really knew what happened other than Bobby Kennedy and JFK are, they're gone, and it just seems like business as usual. I think the Jack Ruby stuff needs another look into it, because I think people pointing the finger at the government, I think it was the mob and Hoffa are the ones who got rid of JFK.
So the only thing about that is, and I mean, I've read so much that now I can't remember where I read different things, but I've listened to a lot of people and read a lot of people who say that was not how a mob hit goes down. Mob hits don't go down in the middle of downtown Dallas at 12:30 in the afternoon with people around. Mob hits happen in private, and the body just gets disposed of. That was pretty, I mean, that was pretty blatant. That, and then here we are, what, 50, 60 plus years later, and I mean, there's a couple of mob connections, and I don't think there's any question that there was some mob involvement, but that's the kind of thing you got to think somebody would have taken credit for on a deathbed or whatnot. Somebody would.
Well,
I mean, nobody's, unless you believe that jailhouse interview, nobody's taking credit for that in his old age.
No, and one of the reason why I point the finger in the Jack Ruby way is because everybody just glosses over that in the Teamsters, before the government came in and regulated them, they had Tony Giancana was a made guy in one of the families in New York, and he was a car haul business agent. And I think that some of the things that had happened, like if you go out to Vegas, a lot of the bartenders and bellhops and those people were their union. That's why the Teamsters convention's out there. And because I go, and it's just fascinating because Hoffa, that's what got him into trouble, was he was writing loans out of the Central States Pension Fund to help fund part of Las Vegas, and part of that deal is that you got to give me the bartenders, bellhops, so they can be in the pension fund to help pay the money back. And he gained members.
Yeah, I would be out over my skis if I tried to get into. I've not heard this angle before. I mean, look, I think it's obvious that Jack Ruby was not just this aggrieved strip club owner who was so upset about Jackie Kennedy having to endure this that he went and took out Lee Harvey Oswald on his own. I mean, anybody who thinks that's ludicrous. That's ridiculous. Oswald, I mean, Ruby was clearly more than that. There's just, it's hard to completely ignore all of the strings that are tied to the CIA on this. It's almost impossible. Not that the CIA as an entity said, hey, we have to put out a hit on the American president, but that there was, and I think this is in some of the files even that came out, that there was probably, my opinion, just following it as close as I have, and look, it's becoming clear that we're never actually going to know. It's wild, really, that we don't know the name of the person who pulled the trigger that blew off the head of the president of the United States of America in broad daylight in downtown Dallas on a Friday afternoon. That's crazy when you think about it. I mean, 6 days before Thanksgiving. It's incredible that we have no idea who did it. But it's almost certainly there was some elements inside the CIA. Kennedy was an enemy. That's documented. And I just think they arranged it.
What to me, I think that they were working with the mob and Hoffa. I think that there was a committee of them that sat around and said, we have to do this. And that's just something that they did.
You know the wildest anecdote from all the Kennedy stuff that I've heard, that when I heard it, I was like, wow. because like the whole Oswald thing about Oswald being a lone nut, it just doesn't hold up under scrutiny when you consider how much he was under surveillance in Russia and everything like that for years. If that there's no way to come to that conclusion. But there was a planned hit on Kennedy, assassination attempt on Kennedy in Chicago, like 3 weeks before that. There was a football game in Chicago. I want to say it was at Soldier Field, but don't hold me to that. I'm sorry, not Soldier Field, Wrigley Field. I think it was Notre Dame versus Army or something along those lines. And Kennedy was supposed to be attending that game. And the Secret Service office in what a play. Nope. South Carolina scores the go-ahead run in the bottom of the fifth. It's 2-1 Gamecocks, 1 out, 2 on for South Carolina. There was a call to the Secret Service office in Chicago with details of the plan, including telling them the person who was going to try to kill Kennedy, and the name of the informant who made the call. His name was Lee, and historians believe it was probably Lee Harvey Oswald making the call.
And one other fact on that, it's a kind of a minor thing, but with LBJ taking over, I mean, he's not, somebody that's not above having a scandal. I believe it was either Ike Fessler or Josh Hendricks told the election story down there in Texas.
Yep.
What ballot box 13. So if he's willing to cheat in a Senate race, and also they violated federal law because they moved a body across state lines after Kennedy had the autopsy. They took him back to D.C. They didn't even wait on the death permit.
Yeah, no, they were hustling to get the body out of there. And I mean, and maybe that can be explained away by just panic and embarrassment, pain, grief, anger, like a lot of emotions that obviously would have been going through there. I think we're going to have a play at the plate here. Let's see. They cut it off. I don't think he should have cut it. 3-1 Carolina. I don't know why the third baseman cut the throw there. I'll have to watch a replay. Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating topic. I mean, it's one that, for me at least, I mean, I still listen to podcasts and stuff about it all the time. I would. It's one of those things where people say, if you could just know the absolute truth about 3 things, I think that would be one of the things, just because I'd love to know precisely who did it, where they were, and why. But the more you hear things, there's just, and I used to be one of the people that thought maybe Oswald acted alone, because I read Case Closed, and it was an incredibly well written book, but it was a run saving play by Udermark right there at second base. That ball was about to head into right field, and the run was going to score. But instead, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I no longer believe that that's even possible. I think it's far more likely that it was a pretty broad conspiracy.
And this is just the last thing I got. Does it make the thing that happened with Trump and Butler?
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about that there is still a ton of stuff not answered, and he's the president of the United States, and there's been nothing really released.
No matter what you think of Trump, the man was the former president of the United States. He was the leading candidate to be the next president of the United States. He took a bullet to his ear on a stage in Pennsylvania on July the 13th. And here we are, April the 17th, and we know nothing about Thomas Crooks. And the story has just gone away. Wild. Think about that. Just no matter what you think of Trump, love him, hate him, that's incredible.
That's something that that's why I brought it up, because, I was pondering my thoughts about what I was going to ask you, and I wanted to, pick your brain on that, because, you have John F. Kennedy assassinated, broad daylight. We know a little bit, but you don't know what's fact, what's fiction. They said they were going to release all this stuff, and then nothing's been released. And then the Butler, Pennsylvania incident, it was mainstream media for 7 days, and then, the election happens and they completely killed it. Nobody, no congressman, no senator, nobody of any merit has came out and said, well, how about we release the files on our findings so the people just know what happened? Because I don't know if I'm buying an 18-year-old kid acted alone to go kill Donald Trump. I'm just not buying it.
Not at all. It was funny. Not funny. It's ironic. That happened on a Saturday, the attempt on Trump's life. And the next day, I flew to Dallas for SEC Media Days, and we stayed at the Omni, which is an easy walk to Dealey Plaza. And I walked over there on that Sunday afternoon because Media Days didn't start till Monday. I had some time to kill. And I walked over there, and it was just kind of eerie. I mean, just being in that spot 24 hours after, not even a full 24 hours at that point, after Trump had been shot. And the thought that went through my mind was, man, we might not be able to trust anybody. I mean, how far does this go back? I mean, where does it stop?
And, I know I said that was my last thing, but the guy that blew himself up in the Tesla, there hasn't hardly been any information on that. And then you have the issue in New Orleans, where those people lost their lives down there with the guy with the ISIS stuff, and they didn't even report that correctly. You found out more stuff about that on Twitter than what you did from the news. And, there's a lot of issues that, around the whole election time that happened that they have not released any information about any of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we still don't have answers from March of 2020 that I think we as a society deserve.
Oh, I'm not even – I know this is probably going to ruffle some people the wrong way, but in my opinion, something that, to get on that topic, it really, really, really irritates me, because at the time my grandmother had Alzheimer's and we couldn't go see her, and she passed away. She died alone.
I'm sorry.
And what they did to the people that lost people that were in the nursing home, you had to stare at your loved one through a window, and that was it. That was the best thing that they could do over something that was maybe real, maybe not real. They said my grandmother died of COVID. Did she? I don't know.
No, it was. There's no other word for it other than it was evil.
So
that's it.
I
think
word. Fauci should be held accountable, and Biden going out of the office. It's just really strange that the last 4 presidents before Biden didn't have as many pardons as he signed going out the door. He signed like 8,000 pardons. Why? Did he even know he signed them?
I bet he didn't sign them.
But I just some of those things, we don't have answers from that. And I think as a society, people need to start questioning more. I know I'm getting on a soapbox high horse. This is kind of like a sports show, but I think just, damn it, people ask questions sometimes. At least question something.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I have people that get mad at me about it. I get stuff saying you should let it go, and I'm not sitting here like burning up about it, but I'm not. As a parent, I'm not over it. I've said this before. It was by far my biggest failure as a parent was the whole vaccine thing in the fall of 2021. That was, I regret that. I'm not a person that has a life full of regrets and stuff, but I have regrets there, and there's anger. There's anger that is associated there. Where you knew, you had a feeling that was. I mean, I admire the people that stuck to their guns and people that lost their jobs and stuff that did it because they had their belief system and they would not compromise. I have a tremendous amount of respect for those people.
I'm one of those people. You know, at the time we had to make a decision, and my wife actually was one of the people affected by that. She had to work from home. She had just graduated school and had to work from home the first 2 years because she couldn't go into the office because we made a decision as a family that we weren't doing it because of how scared other people were.
Yep.
And I just, you know, I look back on that time and it really, really just angers me that, you know, the people that lost people, that you couldn't even go be with them in their final days over something that was maybe not true or whatever. And I know people get mad when you talk about it, but it's one of those things that nobody questioned it. Like in Indiana, you can walk into a restaurant with a mask on, but as soon as you sit down, you could take it off to eat. Like, it didn't make any sense.
No, it's idiotic. Mitchell Sanford, by the way, goes deep for Ole Miss with one out in the sixth, cutting the South Carolina lead to 3-2. So again, 3-2. Gamecocks over the Rebels, top of the sixth inning in Columbia. No, it made no sense at all. That was one of the things that, man, that was like, wait a minute. So the virus won't get you while you eat? Like, wait, hold up. Help me understand that one. If you sit down, it'll just go over you? But what happens when you stand up? Well, as long as you're wearing a mask. Okay, wait. It's like, come on. I mean,
and it was wild because in Indiana they would close the bars at 11 o'clock, and it would just be like, so COVID is a super spreader after 11 o'clock, and
yeah.
You know, we have 4 or 5 universities in our town, and it's just unbelievable the rhetoric.
The virus can tell time.
Exactly.
Wild. Yeah, and the political thing. I mean, I lost friends on the political thing, but I was like, so wait a minute. The virus knows that this is a social justice assembly here, and so it's gonna just leave you alone. The virus can be political. Like stop. I mean, it's either death, violently fatal, or it's not. I mean, you know, that was the day that looking back, I should have just stuck to my guns from that point forward and never faltered. But the marches and stuff, you're like, wait a minute, what? If the government had come out and said, listen, I know everybody's upset and maybe your anger is justified, maybe it's not, but you cannot do this. This will overwhelm the medical system. You cannot do this. And send out the National Guard and say, well, you just can't. I would have been like, oh, maybe this thing's real.
And they had a march all the way down through the downtown where I live, and there was hundreds of people that were gathered together around the courthouse, you know, throwing rocks at the police, and that's a whole nother tangent, but they were rioting downtown, and they all have masks on. Some people are masked. They're breaking windows out, and I'm just like, and you mean to tell me, I have a friend that owns a bar. His bar got shut down because he had too many people in it the very same day. And it's just like, well, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And what was the motivation for that? Like, that was coordinated. And so that's, again, you get back into the whole, what can you believe?
Oh, yes. And I just look at it. It's, you know, what they did to everybody. I have friends who lost businesses, people who lost jobs. And some of them people are still trying to recover to this day over somebody that's not an elected official that decided to make rules.
Yep.
And to use the police or local government agencies to enforce them. And I'm like, now I always said, well, let's get this straight, because everybody was locked in their house. And at noon, you know, once a month, you would get a coordinated press release from the governor of Indiana, and none of the rules made sense. Is like, what are you doing? You're going to start ticketing people and taking people to jail because they're a gathering of more than 10 people? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and then the emotional damage it did to people, the mental damage it did to people, the lack of education for a lot of kids for basically 2 years, the learning loss, we're nowhere even close to feeling the effects of it.
And then
Hunter Elliott back out for the 6th for Ole Miss. He's only thrown 69 pitches. He trails Ole Miss trails South Carolina 3-2. Elliott's pitched well. Offensively, Ole Miss has a couple of home runs, but they've been unable to generate any kind of a big rally or anything, and therefore they are struggling in an important – not struggling. They're just one run down, but in a game that I think is important for Ole Miss in terms of postseason hosting hopes and things of that nature. It's not a must-win or anything like that, but it feels like a big game. You want to win this one. You don't want to run the risk of losing the series in Columbia. This feels like a night you want to walk away with a win.
But yeah, Neal, that's something that's been weighing on my mind. And the final thing I got for you, I'll see you next week at Talladega because I'm driving all the way down from Northeast Indiana.
Oh, is that right? Okay, well, come find us.
Yeah, I got my tickets and everything. So Tyler told me to come on down. So it's about a 700-mile drive. So
wow. Well, drive carefully, please.
So, but thanks for your time, Neal. I'll talk to you.
Hope to see you soon.
Yep. Bye.
Austin, thank you for the super chat. He says, as a lifelong NASCAR fan, huge football fan, between the NFL draft stream and the live shows from Dega next week, has potential to be my favorite week of MPW ever. Happy Easter, Neal. He is risen. He is risen indeed. Thank you, Austin, for the super chat. That's very kind. Thank you. Alan, looking at the Thunder team, it seems fair to ask championship this year or no. I think anything short of going to the finals would be very disappointing. Hayden, is this my first NASCAR? Yes, it's my first NASCAR event ever. Yeah, Alan says Celtics are tough, but outside of 3-point variance, he thinks Oklahoma City has the better team. The Thunder dominated the Celtics the 2 times they played. You know what that means moving forward in a playoff series? Probably not a lot, but it was worth noting. They matched up really well with Boston. They handled the Celtics pretty easily, and they played the game in Boston without Jalen Williams. Again, Ole Miss, Hunter Elliott has a 3-2 count here. He got the leadoff man in the bottom of the 6th out. Ole Miss just trailing by a single run, 3-2 in Columbia with Elliott's gone the distance. This will be his 78th pitch, and it's a walk. I want to say it's the first walk he's given up today. So Carolina's got a man on with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning. Yeah, Tupelo says, if I'm you, Neal, I'd rather play Boston than Cleveland. I'd rather play Boston. I think Cleveland's really good. Cleveland's got those 2 bigs who are problems. They defend incredibly well. They're tough. Austin says, wear ear protection. Like, what do you suggest, Austin? Like noise canceling? So Chase talked about this. Going back to baseball for a minute, I'm jumping around. Looks like Ole Miss is about to make the move. They're going to Mason Morris here on the Friday. This game just became even more important because they're going to use Morris for, I guess, 3 2/3, about 3 innings basically. So you're probably using him for the weekend. He's been lights out for Ole Miss. Bringing him into a game where you're trailing 3-2 it's probably the right move, but it's a risk, and it's one of those things where if it doesn't work out, it's a double whammy in terms of a loss. It's the only risk about him being the bridge guy piggybacking off of Elliott. If you win, awesome. You get the Friday win. I know it's Thursday, but you know what I mean. First game of the series. If you don't, it hurts. So they're making the move now. There's a part of me after last week that kind of wondered if maybe they would experiment with him as the Saturday starter, but clearly they're not comfortable with that just yet. Got to get the scanner. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. We're getting there Saturday morning, and we're doing some stuff Saturday. I'm going to find a place. I'm sorry. I might go back to the trailer at 2:30, but I'm going to watch the Thunder's playoff game, at least a little of it on Saturday. And then I don't know what our show schedule and stuff is. I guess we'll do something that morning and probably do something midday, and then probably go back to the house that we've got rented. And I would guess do a Saturday night show. That would be my that'd be my guess. So I don't know. We'll see. And then maybe we'll do something Sunday. The race is Sunday. And then Tyler and I are actually flying to North Carolina on Monday morning. We're speaking to a corporate group. Only in America would a corporate group invite Tyler Siskey and me to their corporate retreat to be guest speakers. That's crazy. Elliott goes 5 1/3. By the way, gives up the 3 runs. He's responsible for the run at first. Phone lines are open. If anybody wants to call in, probably not going to go super long tonight, but if you have a question in here, I'll take it in the stream. Andy says he do external hard shell ear protection. We have the option of wearing earplugs as well. Okay. Been to races in Nashville and Phoenix, he says. I have no idea what to expect. We are, Tupelo says, what's the topic of the speech? It's going to be like a town hall. There's going to be a moderator that he's going to ask us questions about. I think they want to talk about MPW Digital. They want to talk about the growth of that show, how we've marketed that show, how we've been able to grow a TikTok brand, like mainly Tyler has. I've benefited from it, but Tyler did it. Our careers a little bit. We both have it's interesting careers that we ended up partnering. We don't come from the same backgrounds at all, and probably both of us are in a position where 15 years ago, if you told Tyler, hey, you're going to be essentially in business / media, and you had told me that I would be doing what I'm doing, I think he's safe. Yep. I don't think either one of us would have believed you, and probably both of us would have been pretty unhappy about that news. And yet I think both of us would tell you that we have found professional and personal satisfaction in this path. So I suspect that's kind of what we'll talk about. What did I miss? Hayden says NASCAR in person so completely different than watching on TV. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Everyone says that. Yeah, I'm not even going to get into that Tupelo. People, that is such a nuanced thing that I've learned there are a lot of people that just can't get nuance at all. So this feels like a kind of I don't know, not a big moment. It's just the 6th inning, but if I'm Ole Miss, I don't want this run to score at second base with 1 out. Harris in, and he is nasty, man. Some of the stuff. Look, my next time to coach a college baseball game will be my first. I don't know that if I'm Ole Miss, I can continue to justify this guy not being a starter. I don't know what kind of endurance he has as a starter at this point. You know, is he built up to go 6, 7 innings? But I got to think if I'm in a postseason situation, I want this guy. I want this guy on the mound. I don't know that I'd want God, that's just gross. I mean, he breaks off an off-speed pitch on a 2-2 that the hitter had no chance. Because he's got to think fastball. He's got to respect the slider, and then boom, here's the curve. Nothing you can do about it. Tip your hat, head to the dugout. No shame there, bud. Number 15. So 2 outs, man on second here for Morris. What's up, Grind?
Yo, man, I thought I was gonna miss the show. Oh my goodness.
You were getting close to missing it because we're starting.
I know, man.
Approaching the wind down hour. You know.
Yeah, man, I got caught up with work. And speaking of work, man, that's what I want to get your opinion on, guys.
Okay.
I started training this new guy from Canada, and how about he admitted he's a socialist?
Admitted he's a socialist?
Yes. Dude, we've been having conversations. I mean, it will blow your mind, the things that he says and believes in. I know, because he was just shitting on, excuse my language, but just taking dumps on America. And he was like, man, how can you even, because here's the thing, because he was with me and he was talking about, how Trump, got the country going bad. And he was like, this is like fascist Germany in the early stages. And I was like, I voted for Trump. And he was just shocked. I mean, because he's a white guy from Canada. Yeah. I mean, jaw just dropped. and from that point on, he was basically trying to understand where I was coming from, and I was trying to understand where he was coming from.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, to worry about all this. We, even though we have higher taxes and all this other stuff. So I was like, what kind of tax bracket do you believe in? Neal, tell me why this man said a 42% tax bracket.
42% tax bracket. I mean, come on. I would be like, hey man, listen, I wish you no ill will, but this can't continue any longer. I mean, I can't. To my knowledge, we get one turn on this rock. I can't waste my time with that. That just, again, no. I don't want anything bad to happen to people, but just no. I mean,
he said he was talking about how we in America have it all bad because we're too focused on money, and that we're not the true meaning of a democracy because we don't help each other out. He says that. He said that we're just a bunch of bootlickers who big up big corporations. I was like, dude.
Look, if you want to say that Americans are too work focused, I'll buy it. Sure. If you want to say we're a little too uptight about work and that we don't enjoy life maybe as much as we probably should, I'm good. But no, look.
Because look, man, this is how I had to get it out of him. Because he was like, he was just talking to me. He said, "Man, you sound just like Fox News." I said, "What?" I said, "Dude, come on, man." Because here's my whole. Because he was talking about how rich people and yada 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 should have to pay all these taxes, and I was like, "Well, man, dude." I was like, at the same extent, they're also creating jobs. Because he was talking about Mark Zuckerberg, how he should just be taxed to hell and back and all this other stuff. And I was just like, first off, man, like, it don't even have nothing to do with me. Like, like his money, I'm focused on me.
Yeah.
And I was like, also, you have to think that he's creating jobs. Like, the fact that he's creating jobs should limit his tax burden. Like, the incentive to create jobs should be greater than getting taxed and all that stuff.
Yes.
If you're creating jobs, you're helping with the economy. You're taking, instead of the government having to pay for this person, they're able to survive for themselves.
You want corporate growth. I mean, look at North Alabama. They've had a lot of growth, corporate growth. What comes with corporate growth, right? people. Well, when people come, we all have some things in common. Everybody eats, so you got to have grocery stores. Everybody, I've never been to a town that didn't have houses. Everybody's got to have a house, an apartment, something. You got most people who work and who have a job like to go sleep in a dry place. Pretty much across all divisions, right?
Yes.
They like to go eat. Well, most people that have jobs don't raise their own livestock and grow their own food. There's some exceptions, but for the most part, the overwhelming most part, they don't. So they got to go to a grocery store, or they go to restaurants, or, well, you got to have people to work at a grocery store. You got to have people that deliver the food to the grocery store for the people to put on the shelves. You then you have schools. People have children. Kids go to school. You got to have teachers at the school. You got to have facilities. You got to have people that build the facilities. You got to have people that build the houses. I know people made fun of George H.W. Bush when he talked about trickle-down economics, but he wasn't completely wrong. I mean, you want those things that, and look, if you de-incentivize people from keeping their money, like I always use this example. It was probably 20 years ago. My father was teaching at the time, and he felt tightness and stuff, and went to the emergency room, thank God, and they said, "Oh, Dr. McCready, this is bad. We have to do bypass surgery now." And so they stabilized him in Oxford, and they took him by an ambulance to Memphis. And I was living in Mobile at the time. And of course, my mom called and she told me, and she said, "You need to come." And I'm like, "I'm on my way." And I got to Oxford right as they were taking him to Memphis. And so I drove immediately to Memphis. And I got to Memphis. It's like 7:30 at night, and we're at the hospital. And this doctor comes in. And I'll never forget it. He's kind of a short guy. He's got cowboy boots on and his scrubs, his white gown thing. You know what I'm talking about? And
Yep.
And he comes in, and my dad's scared, and we're all scared, and it's emotional. And he just looks at us and he goes, he probably shouldn't be, but he's fine. I've got him. He goes, "I'm great at this. He'll be fine."
Wow.
He's like, and I remember thinking, "Hey man, I don't care how much money you make. I'm glad you make a ton of money. I'm glad that you are doing this, right? I'm glad that you were incentivized to get rich. I hope you live in a big mansion, and I hope tomorrow night after you fix my dad, I hope you go drink a $1,000 bottle of wine. I don't care. Good for you." You want to incentivize greatness. And look, most people are motivated by wealth. And there's some exceptions. There's some people that are born with a silver spoon and life is unfair. But for the most part, the people who do really well and get rich, they are excellent at something. That needs to be rewarded. If you de-incentivize that, it spirals.
So me and him kind of got into an argument about Alabama Orthopedic down here right off Dolphin Street, off the Parkway.
Isn't that where Taylor's dad worked for a while, Dr. Zarzer?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
yeah.
I've got a client that works there. And this was years ago. Well, not years ago. This was probably about 2 years ago when I broke my foot. And orthopedics were leaving because they were dropping the pay from I believe it was $225 an hour to $175 an hour for their physicians on staff. And they were like, "Yeah, man, our good doctors are they're leaving to try to find better jobs and going." They were talking about they were going to Nashville and other places. And I'm like, "That's crazy. You don't want that."
No.
And he was talking about how, well, at least, healthcare is if you do that, that's going to make healthcare more affordable. And I'm like, dude, no.
No.
And you know, he got real taken aback because I said, man, I don't think I want to live in a world where there isn't winners and losers. You know what I mean? Like, what's life? What's life?
Yeah, well, and I mean, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, I mean, like, look at what we celebrate in our society, what we really enjoy, right? We all love, we watch the Super Bowl. Only one of the teams takes the big silver trophy home. The other team leaves empty-handed. We don't, you know, exterminate them on the way out the building, but they don't get the trophy. And the next season, like Philadelphia, they didn't get it.
You don't get the glory, yeah.
Yeah, and then they come back this time and they're hungrier. I mean, sports is kind of a parable for the real world. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a football game. Who really cares, right? But
yeah,
I mean,
sports
they lost.
Is true meritocracy. That's why we love it so much.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you're purple, you know, big, you know what? If you can get the damn job done and you're the best at it, you're gonna be out there and you're gonna get paid for it.
Whether Jalen Hurts was white, black, or purple. I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, you're either gonna get it done or you're not. Right? I mean, if you win, they're going to give you the trophy. And if you don't, they're not. I mean, it's meritocracy. It's what we love about sports. But that we also love about sports is that you overcome defeat. You learn from defeat. I always say this, like, every football team in America, whether it's high school, college, pro, what do they do the day after a loss? They watch the film. They watch the film.
No matter how hard it is.
You watch the film. You learn from it. And then you go attack it. Because it's done. The loss is done. It's over. You lost. There's no way to go back in time. And so you learn from the mistake. You move on from it. You try to excel the next time. And when you do win after that, I mean, it's sweet. I mean, look at the Eagles. Look at the Eagles, the reaction to like some of those guys when they won this time. Look at Rory McIlroy the other day at the Masters. I'm not even a golf guy. And yet you could relate to that. I mean, he had failed in that before, and they weren't going to just give it to him. I mean, even though everybody was for him and all that stuff, hey, when he missed that putt, hey, man.
Yeah, it was dude. Yeah.
All bets
it was
are off now, man.
Dudes going against, exactly.
Yeah, if you don't win, hey, Rory, everybody's going to feel sorry for you, but guess what? They're going to give the jacket and the trophy to whatever his name is, Rose. They're going to give it to him. I mean, he's if he wins it, he's going to get it. And you know, I mean that, and instead you saw the emotion when he won. That was like, and that's the whole. This is my thing about like work. And Josh Hendrickson and I've talked about this a few times. The feeling that you get, no matter what you do, the feeling that you get from doing something really well is kind of you can't purchase that at Walmart.
It's euphoric.
Yeah, and you can't go find that somewhere. I can't go to Target and go, hey, you got some of that satisfaction I can buy?
Man, what? Man, I remember, man, the first time I took on a repair plumbing job by myself when I had to bust up a concrete deck, repair the pipe, pour the concrete back. I did it all by myself. I felt so I remember I would get home and just look at the pictures of the final product and just be like, damn, I did that.
Yeah.
Like, wow, okay.
Well, like when you mow the yard and you edge and stuff and you finish, and there's a reason that you stop and you look at it, you're like, oh, it looks pretty good. You know, I mean, it's because there's accomplishment. I mean, there's value in that, and I think socialism completely eliminates that, and it makes you such a weak people. And there's a reason that throughout history it doesn't work.
And see, look, I called it communism, and he was like, I said it's closer to communism than you think. He was like, no, it's not communism at all. Because the way I got it out of him, because I was like, man, you're a social. I was like, you believe in socialism, don't you? And then his response was, man, y'all have just been propaganda so much in America to think that socialism is bad. I was like, dog.
No, I mean, his socialism
But me and
is
him,
bad.
we have a $100 bet on whether Trump's name will be on the ballot in 2028 or not. I told him no, bro. I said I don't know why you are just hyper. You doing too much, bro. You're doing too much.
You know what? Trump does that stuff, and listen, I wish he wouldn't, frankly, but he does that stuff where he even floats that crap out because it's his way of trolling.
It's gonna be, yes,
He's
and that's what I told him. I said I don't take Trump literally, and the people who do, that's your fault, dude. That's your fault. If you really believe that it's this fragile, then you know, I pray for you. But I also said that because he said he doesn't believe in trickle down economics, and I said, well, then you can't believe in trickle down politics, so you can't be so worried about Washington and all that at the same time. So, but like I just wanted to talk to somebody that was a little on the opposite side of the spectrum, because like I said, man, these past 2 days, my mind has been blown, bro. My mind has been blown, dog.
I mean,
until you actually meet a socialist and talk to them, you won't understand it. You really won't understand it. I promise you won't.
No, I know I wouldn't. I mean, I get people that and they get so mad at me, and you know the field I work in. I mean, there's a lot of the people that it's the whole, you know, why can't we all just have an equal share of the pie kind of thing, you know? Wouldn't it be great if? And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, I guess utopia would be awesome, except for the fact that it just doesn't exist, and we all know it.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it be awesome if I were as good a baseball player as Shohei Ohtani? Yeah, I'd love it, man. I would, but it doesn't work like that. It's not going to happen. I mean, I could go out when I was 5 years old, and I could have gotten in the driveway in the gym. And I could have dribbled and shot and worked on everything, and I was still never going to be as good as Kobe Bryant. I mean, so you got to figure out, that's the whole point. Figure out what you're good at and then try to be great at it. That's the whole thing, right? I mean, whatever you do, try to find something that you enjoy and then try to be great at it.
I agree 100%, man. That's, like I said, that's why if I didn't talk sports, which I just had to get your opinion and talk to you about that, man. So, like I said, I appreciate you. I joined the show late, but I appreciate you taking my call, man. And you have a blessed weekend.
Hey, same to you, man. Happy Easter. Great hearing from you.
All right, happy Easter.
Ole Miss beginning to run out of outs. It's 3-2. Gamecocks. 1 out, nobody on in the top of the 8th inning. I haven't been able to follow along completely here. Brandon Stone is still pitching for Carolina. He's 75 pitches in. Campbell Smith. Hey, who do we have?
Neal, Mark Columbus.
Mark, what is going on, my man?
I've had a week. It's been a week.
Uh-oh. Sounds bad.
Been a week. Been a week. I knew you were dreading that 614 area code call in.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Maybe just to say Nico, go.
Yeah. I mean, it was bound to happen to somebody. Why did it have to happen to my team?
It was going to happen to somebody. I mean, I said this on McCready and Siskey today. I mean, when you have a system that allows stupidity, you can't be shocked when stupidity happens. I mean, you can if you want to, but who you kidding?
My favorite is a Tennessee fan saying the kid's not that good. I mean, it's just the cope of all copes.
It is, but I mean, I don't even blame him. Come on, do you blame him for
what are you gonna do?
What else are you gonna say? It's like when the girl breaks up with you, and you'd been madly in love with her, and she dumps you sort of out of the blue, and you immediately go, she's kind of a bitch, and she wasn't very pretty. I mean, you're just talking to yourself at that point.
If we go from Nico to something like a Rocco back, I'm not kidding. Just take the money and give it to Barnes and go 6-6. Like, I mean,
Ole Miss down
really.
Ole Miss down in order in the 8th, so they're going to have one final at bat to tie things up. Carolina up 3-2 heading to the bottom of the 8th. Ole Miss just been unable to generate any offense. So I heard some details today on this Nico Iamaleava story. It's the dad.
Yeah.
It's the dad.
Oh, it's the dad.
Totally the dad.
Nico's a really good kid, I think, and it's the dad. There were stories coming out of the spring that Nico has really stepped up as a leader, become more vocal, and when the dad got back in town, he immediately clammed up again.
That's what I heard.
And
I heard he'd actually had 2 of his best months, just in terms of being happy, in Knoxville.
Yeah.
And his dad came back to town, and that disappeared immediately. And so
look at what the dad did. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, the dad started doing the shopping. That got out, got back to Heupel, who I think was completely stunned. So, they threatened not to play in the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
And they gave him, I mean, I've heard specific figures. They gave him more money. And so they thought they had a new deal worked out. The reason that I think Tennessee got caught off guard, you will know this better than me, is he had a number that he played under last season. And then they reached a new deal before the playoff that was effective moving forward. And then Carson Beck and the kid at Auburn, whose name's escaping me right now, I'm sorry, left Oklahoma to go to Auburn. Brain fart.
Jackson Arnold.
Thank you. A couple others. And so all of a sudden there's this, we should get what they're getting. And they started shopping him to other places. He got back to Heupel. You know the rest. And then, look, I believe, based on something I've heard, I believe he had a deal in place with the team and then took that deal after they'd agreed to the deal and shopped that deal around the first part of this week and pissed that team off. And, I mean, I think the dad has hurt him twice in a 1-week period.
The dad's nuttier than a fruitcake. Okay.
Yeah.
And he ruined the senior year of his brother in high school. Had him move out of school 3 games into a season, cost him his eligibility.
He did it. He did it to Madden, by the way. I mean, the UCLA coaches were stunned when Madden, the younger brother, Madden Iamaleava, flipped really at the last minute out of the blue from UCLA to Arkansas.
To a school he never took a visit to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Nico visited Arkansas, but Madden never did.
The dad, I think Nico's the breadwinner for like 7 kids and a sick mom, and the dad's just so. What I've gathered is Dan Lanning's the one that tipped off Heupel.
Yes, I've heard.
Nico was shot. He was shopping Dan. He shopped Nico to Dan Lanning, and then Dan Lanning told him to buzz off and called Heupel.
I've heard the exact same.
And I kind of thought that maybe there's some collusion going on here, just because we got a chance to maybe make an example of this kid, and maybe grab a little control back on this deal. But it's just a mess. It's not. Where do you leave us? Like, I mean, you got to go find somebody, because these kids can't play. The ones that they've got on campus, they're not nearly ready to play SEC football, like not even close.
No,
and now Merklinger's trying to hold out for more money.
Yeah, now they're going to go steal somebody else's quarterback. I mean, I hate the second window. I mean, if we're going to do the no penalty transfer thing, which is fine, I think you have to close. You have to have one window. I don't think you can have 2 windows. I was saying on McCready and Siskey, there was a kid, I saw it. I was looking at the site for a reason that has nothing to do with work. I can't get into it. There's a kid at Arkansas who signed with them in December, enrolled in January, and he's back in the portal. And maybe he's just miserable, right? Maybe he's unhappy. Maybe he hates it. Maybe he is realizing that, hey, I'm not good enough. I don't know. I have no idea. But that's not good. That's not productive. The whole, hey, we didn't get the kid in January. Let's make him a bigger offer and steal him in April. If that happens somewhere else, that's ridiculous. At some point, I keep thinking, at some point, fans just go, this is insane. But so far, they haven't.
Well, Nico, hell, if he gets in the January window, he gets SEC teams built on him. And you don't think Hugh Freeze would have crawled on broken glass to get Nico Iamaleava?
Oh, no doubt about it.
Hugh Freeze would have paid through the nose for that kid.
No question.
So they screwed up there. And he went down and shopped into Miami, came back and said, we got a $3 million offer on the table for Miami. And Tennessee called his bluff because it wasn't true. So he stuck around. He was always going to leave, from what I've got it. Like, they had their stuff packed, and he was leaving after the spring game. Tennessee got to save face by leaking it to Samuel that we're cutting ties. But they thought they would be able to hold on to him. But it wasn't so much we didn't really dump him. Like, he was gone.
Yeah, and you can have the debate about who broke up with who. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
You've got to move forward, and this was not the plan, right? You didn't plan for this. And I've heard people saying, well, they should have. You have, I believe, by the time January rolled around, they had well over $2 million committed to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go get another one for $2 million as an insurance policy. It doesn't work like that.
And he, and now the quarterback on the roster, the kid that played in the spring game, now he wants more money. They gave him a sweetener last week to make sure he stayed around, and now he wants more money. He hired the guy that's representing Carson Beck. It's like, and that kid can't play. Like, he's not any good. They go out there with him in the fall. They're going 5-7.
And if they go 5-7, criticism's going to be, hey, you should have just done whatever it
should have paid him
to keep Nico. Right. I mean,
exactly.
There's no winning. And if you're Heupel, this has to be the most frustrating thing in the world. I mean, you have a plan. You recruit around this kid. You cater to the kid. You do everything you can, and then he bolts on you. You have no option other than to try to go steal somebody else's quarterback. And it's just nobody's
going to care if you go 6-6, man. They're not going to want to hear it. They're going to say you should have dealt with the dad. He's a pain in the ass. Should have dealt with him.
Yeah, because the emotion will kick in. The emotion.
He's got some job. I mean, he's got job security. He's won 30 games in 3 years. He's got job security. So, like, I don't think he's not going to lose his job, but people aren't going to be happy. Like, they're not going to care. Oh, he'll get a break. He'll get a pass this season. No, he won't. This is big time college football. To spend a lot of money.
Brandon
not going to get a pass.
Brandon Stone is 8 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts as he attacks Ole Miss here in the 9th inning. Oh, Ole Miss catches a break leading off the 9th, an error by the third baseman. So Ole Miss gets the leadoff man on in the top of the 9th. Rebels trailing 3-2 in Columbia. Rebels obviously need a run to tie, 2 to go ahead. Hunter Elliott was good. Mason Morris has been great in relief, keeping it alive. And again, South Carolina opens the window. A little bit of a bad hop there for the third baseman, but that'll be an E5. Ole Miss with the go-ahead run on. I'm sorry, the tying run at first, nobody out.
And look what Nico's got to go do now. He's got to go play UCLA, who's got no money and no players, and an offensive coordinator who's never called a play before, and playing in front of 20,000 people in the Rose Bowl.
And that's his dad. It's just
his dad.
No way that's what he wanted. There's no chance that that's what he wanted. And if what I've heard is right, and I don't think this is done yet, by the way, but if what I've heard is right, he's going to do it for a lot less money.
In L.A.
Ole Miss hits into a double play there down to their final out, 4-6-3 on the double play. Just this kid has gotten ground ball after ground ball for the Gamecocks today.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah. I mean, it just
tax the cost of living.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
And
He was
Now,
and the dad was asking for houses. He's asking for
that's for a Bugatti.
houses.
He asked for a Bugatti.
Yeah, but what are you doing?
Like, you're not. He's a nut. He's a lunatic.
But it's the stuff that's got to get out for people to understand it. It's got to get out at some point.
Now, if it comes out that Tennessee, there was an NDA involved and Tennessee leaked the contract negotiations and terms, well, they're going to sue Tennessee and make all the money back. But yeah, you knew what Tennessee wanted to make a big splash in recruiting, so they gave Nico, $8 million when he was a senior in high school, and they got the big splash. But you got to deal with his father, he's at every practice.
Was he this way? Grind asked this question in the thread, and it's a good one. Was he this way in high school? Was the dad this crazy in high school? I know that on a couple of his official visits, the numbers that came out, the way that the requests were made were not received well.
He pulled Madden out his senior year of De La Salle and transferred him to, I forget the other school, costing Madden his eligibility his senior year because he didn't like the coaching.
So the answer is yes.
He's a lunatic. He's a nut. And maybe they thought they could deal with him. You're getting Nico. I mean,
South Carolina beats Ole Miss in the opening game of the series. Pretty tough loss for the Rebels. South Carolina wins 3-2. Gamecocks now 3-13 in the league. Ole Miss falls to what were they going in? I'm trying to remember. 9-6. Like I said, 9-7. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's right.
Just what I mean. When's this stop? I mean,
yeah. I don't. Here's the answer to that. No, and I wrote about this. I answered your mailbag question. I didn't answer it very well, by the way. I was in a hurry and I was late and I was behind. But here's the answer: is that they've got to stop looking to Congress, to the NCAA. There at some point, I'll give the SEC credit for this. The SEC looked at this second window and went, if we don't put a rule in, if we don't legislate this ourselves, this will be completely out of control because everyone is so competitive and everyone is so emotional and we have no choice but to do this. And they did it, and it has made the second window calmer for SEC teams.
Well, all but one.
Yeah, but you understand my point. Imagine if, right, if he could have gone anywhere in the SEC, his dad would have shopped him to the rest of the league.
He'd have been in Alabama right now.
Probably. And then you'd have
they need a quarterback.
Then you'd have chaos inside the league, right? And so, but at some point though, that's got to be the model. The answer is they're going to have to legislate this themselves and have the discipline to stick to it, even when maybe somebody goes, "Oh God, this would really help me," and that's the problem. That's the problem. You don't have any structure, and if you don't have any structure, you're going to have chaos.
I can't believe we're here. Again,
come on.
Any Tennessee fan trying to cope by this by saying the kid can't play is out of their mind.
No, but I mean, I'm not pushing back on you. I understand what you mean, but you can totally believe you're here.
I know. I can't believe it happened to us.
Yeah, I mean, but it was going to happen to somebody. And here's the thing, and everybody in the country knows it. If this can happen to a big boy blue blood like Tennessee, this can happen to anybody. Anybody. It's one of the reasons, I think you haven't seen as much fan gloating about screw Tennessee, is they look at it and go, man, that could happen to us. It could happen to anybody. If it can happen to Tennessee, it can happen to anybody.
Look, kind of happened to Ole Miss in a way.
A little bit, yeah. I mean,
not quite as dramatic, but
at least in the Ole Miss deal, right? Ole Miss kind of made, like Tennessee, Ole Miss sort of made the decision, but they were able to make the decision in January. So you could at least.
It's also a quarterback versus a running back.
Yeah, you were at least able to plan around it a little bit. This is different. I mean, this is the kind of thing where your season gets derailed in April by something that's not completely of your control. That it's what happens when the players have all of the control. And it's why
when basketball start.
People do the thing right with pro sports. Like, well, so you're saying you don't want the players to get paid. I'm like, no, I didn't say that at all. I'm glad the players are getting paid. But you still have to have structure. I mean, if you allowed the NFL to be chaotic, it would be. If you, at the end of every season, everybody on the Detroit Lions could just go free agent, you'd have mass chaos. There's a reason they have the reason it works is their structure.
Why did they allow the 1-year transfer? Just because they were sick of having hearings to give kids waivers?
They were tired of losing in court, and we were having this mass reaction to rights. You know, and the NCAA was losing in court, and it got to a point where it's like, why are we fighting this? Just let them go. I mean, I remember when that happened, it went from one time. I was like, oh, look out, it's going to be 2 times, and then once you get to 2 times, it's going to be as many as you want. I mean, Ole Miss signed a basketball player this week who will be playing at his 4th school in 4 years. Chad Baker-Mazara just got in the transfer portal, so if he goes someplace else, this will be his 4th school, and I think he's like 26 years old. I mean, we're nuts. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, there's nobody immune from it. AJ Storr will be at his 8th school in 8 years. Think about that. I can't even imagine. St. John's to Wisconsin to Kansas to Ole Miss. If I told you in 2019 that a basketball player would play 4 seasons, 1 at St. John's, 1 at Wisconsin, 1 at Kansas, and 1 at Ole Miss, you would have said, you are out of your mind. And if I told you that, hey, a kid will play at Auburn and help them to the Final Four who's 25 years old and it's his 3rd school, you would have been like, wait, what?
And now this 2023 QB class, all but Arch, are at different schools. Every one of them.
Everyone. I mean, that's why when people get worked up like about high school football recruiting stuff, I'm like, hey, it doesn't. I mean, and in fairness to the fans, hey, in all fairness to fans, in very short order, they've adjusted to that. They've completely, like our analytics on stories, unless the kid is a 5-star, big time, everybody wants him recruit, we get far more page views on transfer portal stuff, even in basketball, than we do football recruiting. People have realized that it probably doesn't matter.
I mean, we're about to beat Duke.
Ole Miss lost out on Caleb Odom to Alabama. A year later, he's playing at Ole Miss. A couple years ago, Aiden Williams was one of Ole Miss's big football recruits. He's not Mississippi State. I mean, it's craziness.
We're about to beat Duke on the last 5-star basketball player, and I'm like, well, he's going to be here a year.
Which one is that?
Ament.
Oh, you think Ament's going to Tennessee?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's a get for Rick. Goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's the latest word. They're going to land him.
It's not like you can.
Maybe we did give Rick the money.
Yeah, you can't follow up. Yeah, I'd heard the price on him has gotten over $3 million.
Yeah, and the Rice kid from Maryland is there. I think he's going to take a discount to come play for Tennessee because he's got $3 million on the table from Nova, and he's going to take under 3 from Rick because Rick can turn water into wine.
$3 million.
Rick knows what he's doing in the portal.
Oh yeah, he's good. He's good in the portal.
Rick knows what he's doing.
Well, the SEC as a whole is really good in it also, just because there's just so much money.
When's basketball start again? Because this football season is going to be we'll see how good Heupel can coach it up. And the other thing is too, and if this were football reasons, and let's say Vico went to Ohio State or went to play for Sark or something, I'd kind of get it. Like I'm not sure Heupel's system is properly preparing him for the NFL, and I'm not sure. Like, it's all in the playoff game. The talent around Nico is not great. Like, the wide receiver room is not good, and I think it's scaring off some of the portal quarterbacks they're talking to.
Yeah.
The offensive line has to be completely rebuilt, and maybe Nico's dad doesn't want to get him killed in the SEC behind that offensive line.
He goes to UCLA.
I could buy that, but I could buy that until you tell me he's going to UCLA.
Yeah, come on.
Okay. What are we doing?
It falls flat right there.
That's where it falls flat.
Yeah, 100%.
For me.
100%.
All right, man. Thanks for letting me vent.
Yeah.
It's been a week.
Well, it's been interesting. I hate it. Believe it or not, I actually kind of I hate it for the Tennessee fans because they had embraced that kid and they built around that kid and people were excited about that kid. And I don't know. At some point, I keep waiting for media to say, hey, this kind of sucks for fans. And they don't, because they're hung up on, isn't it great that the kids get paid? Two things can be true at once.
Now, that Tennessee, the NCAA was looking into the high deal we put together for him in high school. And Tennessee's chancellor came out and told them to stuck both middle fingers up.
Yep.
Like, we've defended this kid, and
yep, it's bad.
Very publicly did that.
Yeah, I feel bad for the school. I feel worse for the fans. And I actually feel bad for the kid. I do not feel bad for the people.
It's not him. Yeah. This is not him.
He's going to be the one that catches all the derision, and it's going to affect his reputation. And he did what most kids would have done in that situation, and that's the domineering dad made the decisions.
You're going to affect his career.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I know the NFL ain't going to really care, but they're going to kind of care.
It's just going to impact the way people think about him. It's going to be this thing that hangs over him all the time. It's never going to completely go away. And that's what sucks for him.
Yep. All right, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Talk to you later.
Yep. All right, boys and girls, we're going to wrap it up there. I've got some different games on. Texas A&M has just taken a, I think, 4-2 lead at Arkansas. Georgia and Vanderbilt are in the middle of a 1-0 game in Nashville. So SEC action going on this Easter weekend. Again, Ole Miss loses to South Carolina 3-2 in Columbia. Not a great start to that series for the Rebels. They play again tomorrow at 3, and then I want to say Saturday at 1. Coverage will be at rebelgrove.com. Chase Parham will be writing about those games. It's Georgia 1-0 over Vanderbilt in the 6th. By the way, Doors have a man on second with 2 outs. So we'll have full coverage of baseball. There's some football coverage up today. My story on Austin Simmons, Lane Kiffin's press conference. We'll have more to you from today as well. Ole Miss wrapping up spring football on Saturday, but today was the final media availability of the spring. Thanks to everyone who called in. Again, thanks to the people at Comer and Southern for sponsoring this show. Don't forget, talked about it earlier in the show, but if you need to get your AC checked, need to make sure it's ready to go, ready to handle the heat of the summer, now's the time to get in touch with Comer and Southern. The numbers on the screen: Comer 662-801-1777, Southern 662-429-4429. Again, until next time, happy Easter, everybody. We'll talk to you on Monday with another edition of another week of Blue Sky Live and MPW Digital. Until then, take care.